Hello, hello, and welcome everyone. It is Athena Seye here, and today we are going to be doing our guest speaker for Everyday Divinity. And this time around, we are working with Jasmine Cianflone, and she is an expert tarotist. Is that even a word? I'm not sure, but I just adore what you do and how you bring tarot to the light, right? To the limelight, and helping people to really move through their blocks. And so I think it fits in with this program because this program is really geared towards those people who may be just starting out in their spiritual development, or maybe they're really trying to find their voice and looking for clarity. And then this month in Everyday Divinity, we are actually journeying through our shadows. So we're working with our mind, and we're working alongside the Ascended Master, Mary Magdalene, which I know you also have a connection with that as well. So let's just go ahead and get started. Let's just start with Jasmine. Tell us who you are and what it is that you do.
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Athena, for inviting me. So I am an expert. I call myself an expert tarologist. So I do more than just reading tarot. I've been reading now, I keep doing the math. It's been 23 years. And it's been quite a journey. I picked up my first deck as a teenager and have really never looked back. It is the language that spirit really speaks to me in. I'm a very visual person, so exploring the archetypes and the energies that the cards hold has been very cathartic for me in a lot of ways. It's been a really quick way for me to get into my subconscious and really understand what spirit is trying to say to me when sometimes I'm being difficult and not wanting to listen to the obvious signs, because we all have that struggle sometimes when our intuition is tapping. Tarot has a really nice way of being like, I'm laying it out for you. This is exactly what I'm saying. This is exactly the path that you need to be on. So what I do now is I both read and teach and use tarot to heal. So my mission, as it has been described to me recently, is that my goal is to help heal spiritual women who are desiring sexual liberation through the language of tarot. And the way that I do that is, it's got its own magic, but tarot is a path. Like, it literally has a path laid out in the cards. Each of the sections, the major arcana and the minor arcana, it goes through a cycle. So it's really this beautiful, spiral journey that just keeps us going and growing. And if you're working with energies within the major arcana, you can actually find yourself in these places and, use that energy to move yourself to whatever your next level is as you continue the unfolding of your spiritual journey. Does that answer your question? I hope it does.
Yes. Okay. And I'll just say that, just to put this into context, before the call, I pulled the Fool. Which is exactly me right now, because I have transitioned through so much the last few months, from lots of things falling apart, but I'm at this like new threshold where I have this like kind of excitement to explore myself in a new way and to not get carried away 100%. But this is like the 0 card, and this literally feels like where I'm at. So I see myself in this, and I know you can go deeper into that. We don't have to go deeper into that, but I was like, oh, that's just perfect for where I'm at. That's just perfect.
That's awesome.
And I know, like, before we hit record, I know Anne had said that she uses oracles. So can you just, for the people that are listening, can you just maybe give us a brief example of like what the difference between tarot and an oracle deck is?
Absolutely. Okay, so tarot has a little bit, I think like people have probably been using oracle and tarot as the same, like for the same amount of time. But tarot is a very, I don't want to say very rigid, but it's a much more rigid system. So every tarot deck that you find, if it is based on the traditional Rider-Waite tarot, has 78 cards in it. It's divided into the major and the minor arcana. The major arcana has the 22 cards that go from the Fool through the World. and the minor arcana has the 4 suits. So usually they'll be divided up into wands, swords, pentacles, and cups. Sometimes the names of those will change, but it's usually that same type of energy. And those energies are like the earth, air, fire, and water, traditional spiritual energies. And almost every tarot deck, if you look at it, if it's based on a Rider-Waite deck, will have the same generalized symbolism. Whereas oracle decks there's a lot more creativity that is allowed in an oracle deck. I mean, you can be really creative when you're creating a tarot deck as well, but oracle decks deliver messages in a much more succinct kind of way. Like you can pull a single oracle card and get a complete message. Sometimes you can do that with tarot, but a lot of times, especially if you're working on deeper stuff, you might need to pull a couple additional cards to keep clarifying the story. Oracle can be used with the same types of readings as tarot, but you may have to, depending on what it is you're reading on and how you're doing your readings, you may have to work with the messages in a little bit different way. Tarot and oracle actually work really well hand in hand. I recommend people have one of each deck, but if you're like looking to really learn tarot, you're going to want to focus on those individual images and what they bring to mind in your own subconscious first, before diving into an oracle deck. But they're both beautiful tools, and anybody who's on a spiritual path, I recommend using both of them.
Yeah. And I like oracle because it feels really flowy to me, and I'm so in my feminine right now in my life. I'm so are you there?
I am here. My cat is doing something weird at the door. Do you mind if I let him out really quick?
That's fine. Yeah. My dogs are outside barking, so hopefully you guys can't hear that.
So sorry about that. My cats, I have 6 of them, and they love my bedroom. So they're like, there might be 4 more in here. I have no idea. We'll just see if they decide to pop out.
No, it's okay. It's real life. I love it. So what I was gonna say is I love using oracle, kind of for like that quick reading. Like if I just want one card in the day, and it's very flow, and I'm very in my feminine right now in my life, and so I really like that kind of creative flowiness. But when I need like the serious shit, like when I'm like, okay, I've been avoiding my shadows, I am stuck in something nasty, I feel like the tarot kind of gives it to me in that way. Like, here you go, here's the path. And so I definitely see that. So I'm glad that you kind of mentioned that. It's more structured, but also kind of hands it to you. It may be not as gentle as a way sometimes. Or maybe that's the way that I perceive it, because usually when I use it, it's because I am really looking at something even deeper.
Right. Yeah. And that's generally the way that it goes for me, especially when I'm reading for myself. My tarot decks have a tendency to smack me over the head with a message. Like they don't deliver it, sweetly, because we've gotten used to each other's energies. And I do speak of my decks as if they do have their own energies, because
they do.
In my experience, they do. Like they just, the art is a language. And so it literally does speak to you in its own language. So, I have certain decks that are a little more gentle and some that are just like, listen, no, we're not playing games today. This is what you need to hear. And, and then, you'll go to like shuffle again and be like, well, can I get some clarity? And it just spits out the same cards again. It's like, okay, I heard you. Fine. I'll do it. It's fine. Yeah.
So you kind of explained that your journey into tarot, that you started at a young age and you never really looked back, but can you maybe elaborate more on that? Like, what has your journey into tarot, did that lead you into the energy work, or did you feel like the energy work led you into tarot, or how does that weave together, your journey?
So my whole spiritual journey is a weird, crazy ride. I have been witchy and spiritual for as long as I can remember. I wasn't raised any particular religion. My dad was a non-practicing Muslim. So like he had like the beliefs, but didn't do anything. And my mom was raised Catholic and then converted to Baptist, but that conflict, like they didn't do anything with me. So I always was left feeling like I needed to explore the something more that I sensed, because I always sensed something more. And I started my baby spiritual journey at 11 years old, wandering into a bookstore and picking up a book on meditation. And it was not like a nice, simple, sit and breathe book. Like it was like a really deep, like transcendental meditation book. And my mom was like, "What are you going to do with that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It seems interesting." And so, all of the experiences that I had throughout my meditations, I was like, you know what, there's more to this. So I started looking into crystals. I bought my first set of crystals when I was 12. Started like laying down on my bed and surrounding myself with the crystals and like doing the deep meditations. And it just led me to feel that there was so much more to this life. There was so much available that people weren't seeing on the surface. So I have always had that really deep desire to connect to that energy. Reading tarot for other people for me didn't really start until more recently. Like I would read for friends and family. And I would read, for my husband. I've been reading for my husband forever. But it really did kind of clue me in, like my desire to learn how to channel energy, learn how to do Reiki, learn how to activate DNA. All of that kind of happened as a result of the feelings that I would get from people while I was doing the readings. Like that was like crazy to me, because when I read for people, I can feel where their energetic blocks are in my body. And I've had so many people be like, oh, you need to shield yourself better. You need to. And I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, this is how I sense the energy. Like, I can't turn it off. I've tried to shield it. I've tried to block it. That's just how the information comes in. So it's like when I'm reading for people on their confidence levels, I will feel stuff stuck in my solar plexus. When somebody's feeling really disappointed or really like heavy about something, I will feel that weight. Like I'm very clairsentient like that. So that was the thing that it was like, okay, I'm familiar with the chakras. I'm familiar with all this other stuff. Sometimes when I'm feeling like I want to help somebody, I put my hands on them. Why don't you get some formal training in that and see how that goes? So that led me to explore Usui Reiki. And I'm level 2 certified in Usui Reiki. And I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to go and get the master level. Mainly because I have, I'll call it's reservations about the separation of that energetic practice from its cultural origins. Let's put it that way. So I haven't, fully explored that, but I am certified up to master level by you in Kundalini Reiki, which is my favorite methodology. And the way that it all ties together, and the fact that you can use tarot to figure out what somebody needs Reiki on, is really cool to me. Like there's just all of these links with all of these different spiritual practices. And it just proves to me that as a existing consciousness, humanity is more similar than we are different. We've come up with all these different ways to get to the same thing. And, the deeper you look, the more you can see all of the connections that exist.
I love that. And you totally gave me goosebumps. I love it. It feels really, really good. And, something that you mentioned, how it all is interconnected. And so it's our ability to weave in our own unique magic so we can make it work for us. So like you're using your tarot for energy healing. I created an oracle deck to place on people's bodies for energy healing. Like it's amazing what we can do if we can get out of our own head and just allow the creative juices to flow through us and allow that spirit to just move through us, because we'll know intuitively how to use it. And so I like want to take your courses and learn how to use tarot for energy work.
Well, that's actually very good to hear, because I am working on a tarology certification course. So because what I've started to realize, and this has been like a thing that has been, don't mind my cat walking across me, that has been a long time in coming. I'm being called to do more teaching and less reading. Like I love doing readings. There's just so much fun to connect to other people's energy and to be able to assist them in either getting confirmation or, understanding what might be holding them back and allowing them to address it and help them work through that. But the work that I do is it's just deeper than just the readings. Like the readings are fun, but there's more to be done, and there's more to be, kind of gleaned from the ancient wisdom that the tarot holds. And, the fact that you can use all of those energies to manifest and actualize the kinds of life that you want to have. And the fact that you can use it to really become so self-aware that, you understand what energy you need to be moving into to get past something is just really very powerful. Like you mentioned, shadow work. The tarot is an amazing shadow work tool because it will call you on your BS. Like it will call you on it. You'd be like, what is it that I'm stuck? And then you shuffle. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, look, it's the death card. Oh, there's an ending. There's an ending that I'm pretending does not exist. Maybe I should journal on that. Maybe I should actually confront this feeling. And instead of pretending it's not there, figure out what I need to do to move through it and get to the other side.
And find all the beauty during it, right?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful unfolding.
Yes.
And you mentioned the death card, but I want to also say, because I had talked to someone earlier saying about that it kind of brought up fear, like, oh, I'm kind of afraid to use it because it does have like the devil card, right? Mm-hmm. Or because there is a lot of like dogma, or I don't know if it's stigma or whatever. There is a lot of like this occult energy behind it. But for me personally, it's really about exploration of self.
Yes.
So what would you say if someone came and was like, I don't know, I'm scared about that. Like, what does that, I'm sure people have probably said that to you before.
Yeah. I get that a lot. And the thing is that everything is a mirror. Mm-hmm. So the tarot is only giving you the information that you already have. It's only reading your own energy, So when you ask questions about other people, yes, absolutely, it can read a little bit into that situation. But if you have a strong feeling about it one way or another, it's going to color that because it's reading your energy. It's pulling off of your energy, and your energy, especially if you are feeling some kind of a way about a situation, or you want an outcome to come one way or the other, it's going to pick up on that. And the other thing that I like to mention is that it's like, yes, these cards have, and I always have a deck with me, they have a personality. But that does not mean that they're haunted. It doesn't mean they're possessed. It doesn't mean that they're going to open you up to anything that you're not already open to. And the cards don't have the power. You have the power. The cards have the information. That's all. So you just have to use them to get the information, and then you do the things with the information. Yes. So I always caution people, like, don't give any of these tools all of the power. Like the crystals don't have the power, the candles don't have the power, the cards don't have the power. The power is within you. You're just using those things to channel your own power out into the world.
Oh gosh, yes, I love it. Again with the goosebumps. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And it is true, it just reminds us that we're all remembering that we are sovereign, and that we are the creators. And so yes, using the tools are amazing, but don't give the power to them, right? It's us.
Absolutely.
I love it to think of it as a mirror. I think that's amazing.
Yeah. And one other thing I wanted to add, I find that, especially with people who are exploring beyond more dogmatic spiritual frameworks, it's easy for them to say, well, all the power is still over here, because it's a process to bring that back in to, feel safe again, making your own decisions, making your own choices, understanding that the things that happen for you are up to you. Like that you actually do have more influence than you think, and you don't need to rely on somebody's outside rules.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and that's what we're definitely unlearning around here. So I love that. So I think we've kind of talked about this, but just to give it some context, how has using tarot helped you overcome obstacles in your own life? And we kind of brought up the mind and the shadow work. Like, can you share, and you don't have to go into details, of course, but can you share how the tarot has helped you overcome some things in your life?
Absolutely. So my practice is very much about embodying the segment or section or energy within the tarot that is coming up and is being very present for me. And I will use as an example, like the last 2 years of my life. I feel like this is almost like I don't want to say universal, but a very generalized kind of thing. Like we've all been in this kind of hibernation pattern, this holding pattern, this reflection pattern. And in the tarot, that is very much represented by the Hanged Man card. And then from the Hanged Man, it goes to Hanged Man, then Death, then the Tower, then Temperance. So it goes through all of this really like super tight energy, and it's all scary. It's terrifying. You have no idea what's happening, but the transformation that is happening brings you to the Star card, which is where hope comes again, and when you can actually connect to that higher self. So for me, what has been happening is that I have been basically expanding beyond where I have been before. Approached my 40th birthday, was like, what is life? What am I here for? What's my legacy going to be? All of that crazy stuff. And sitting with those energies, understanding the depth of them, understanding that you can ride the wave and not be taken down by it, has been something that's been very transformative for me. And I've had those periods throughout my life where, I ended up doing a reading right before I started my first business years and years ago. I used to be a wedding planner. And like, I ended my corporate life and was like, I'm going to start this wedding planning business. I did a spread for myself. I was like, oh yeah, everything's going to be great. Last card I pulled was the Tower. And I was like, okay, so everything's going to fall apart. I don't know. I mean, but it's falling apart so it can be built into something better. Little did I know, like 2 days later, I found out I was pregnant with my first child. So I was starting a business and having a baby at the same time. Like looking back, I'm like, oh, that's what that Tower was. That means like literally everything is complete, like blow it all up, because nothing is ever going to be the same. But like understanding that and knowing that the energies in the cards aren't saying this is your life and it's not your life anymore and you have no control. Like it gives you the control back, because the cards and the energies absolutely are always leading you somewhere. Like there's always somewhere to go to the next space. Like there's always energies around the cards. They stand alone by themselves and they do represent things by themselves, but there's always those two cards on the other side. So it's like, which direction are we moving? Right? If that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I know I was in a Tower point at like the end of January, February, like it felt like a month of Tower, where everything, like I was struck by the lightning, I was falling, it was uncomfortable. I was like, my inner child was throwing fits, but then I had that hope because I remembered like the star is coming, and like, so it's almost like, when we're starting to become so aware of ourselves and our consciousness is expanding, we can step out of ourselves and see the bigger perspective. And sometimes in the Tower, you don't quite see it, but then there's a glimmer of it. And you're like,
yes.
Oh, I'm free falling. Something better's coming. Let's trust in the bigger perspective, in source and spirit. And sometimes I challenge it. I'm like, bring it on. Why or not, but I'm like, yeah. But yeah, that it really does offer that guidance. Yes. And I just want to try to find it in my deck here. I actually have a deck with me too that just is the 22 major arcana. So this is, I don't know if you can see that. So this is a Tower card, right? So struck by lightning, they're like falling out of the safety of their tower, everything's crumbling. And know that like this can be us sometimes. But when we land, it's a whole different version of us.
Absolutely. Sometimes things have to be, shaken down. And for me, being very aware of when that's happening is incredibly comforting, because it's not like things are falling apart for no reason. They're falling apart so that they can be built into something else. And that's why, and I have a tendency to, if I am doubting my own understanding of the cards, even being an expert, like I will go to another healer, another reader, and be like, can you just pull some cards for me to make sure that I'm not, deluding myself into something? Because it can get easy to do that, but at the same time, you want to have an understanding of the energies for yourself. So when you do get readings, you can know whether or not the person who's reading for you is actually reading for you the way that they need to be reading for you. Because there are a lot of people out there, and it drives me crazy in the spiritual community, but there are people out there who are reading to make a quick buck and not reading because it is something that they feel called to do. So you just want to make sure you've got, the right kind of readers on your side.
Yeah. And I think a good way to do that is just really tuning into yourself before you say yes.
Yes.
And then this is something, I don't know why I'm being called to share this today, but something I was guided to do in a dream is anytime that someone's giving you a reading or you're going to jump on, like say someone's doing a live, bless them. And so then whatever's happening, whatever's being exchanged, the blessing has already occurred. So I don't know, it's just something that you can also do. And then you can kind of feel into their energy and see if it's right. If there's something that's like restrictive within you, then maybe they're not the right type. And there's so many different kind of readings,
Absolutely.
Some people are like, give it to you exactly as you are. Me, I feel like I'm more of like a universal reader. So it's like I sometimes talk in like code, but that's just how it comes forward for me. So, but yeah, I think it's just, using your own discernment when you're connecting with people and blessing everybody. Just bless everybody that's going to work on your energy. Just bless them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about, and you don't have to go into all 22 gateways. I know you kind of already went through some of them, but what do so when I say the 22 gateways, those are the major arcana. So yes. What do the 22 gateways of the tarot represent, and how can we work more deeply with those energies?
That's a wonderful question. Okay, so I'm going to start with the overall overarching cycle that is the major arcana of the tarot. So we start out with the Fool, and we're basically following the Fool. The Fool is the main character who is experiencing all of the things throughout the whole cycle of the major arcana. And so the Fool's journey takes them through self-discovery till discovering what their passions, their joys, their fears are, plunging them through this traumatic experience, coming to a higher understanding of the cosmos and the world around them, and then finally ending up at completion, which is the world where you are a fully developed being. Okay. Now, this happens for all of us multiple times in our lives, which is one of the reasons why I feel like the tarot is really good for exploring that type of energy. So the Fool is, and I'm going to kind of explain like my intuitive way of doing this. I'm very much an intuitive reader, but I do have an understanding of the actual esoteric symbolism behind each card. But the Fool is main character energy, ready for anything, and also completely clueless. So there's all of this fresh new start, brand new beginnings. I'm gonna, run off the side of this cliff, because usually the Fool is depicted as like walking off the side of a cliff, like ready to go see the world, with, things trying to get their attention. So there's a little dog on the bottom of the Fool who's like, Tracy's like, hey, don't jump there, stupid. You're going to fall and break your neck. But the Fool doesn't care, because the Fool is so excited to see the world. Now, as the Fool moves into understanding the world around him, that's where the Magician comes in. That's the first card. The Magician is recognizing where you are in the world, recognizing what's available for you. So there is, usually it's symbolized by a person. Sometimes it's a man, sometimes it's a woman, depends on the deck. Basically doing the as above, so below symbol, and surrounded by all of the magical tools, like the traditional alchemical magical tools, the athame, the chalice, wands, like all of that stuff. And so that is a representation of the self in the physical world and what is available to you in the physical world. So that is you exploring and understanding the power that you have over your environment. Now, once we've gotten to that part, so it's like brand new baby discovers, oh, look, there's a world. And then you get to the High Priestess energy, and that is the spiritual world. So that is the understanding. So we go from like the individual to the more masculine polarity, to the more feminine polarity, where we are very receptive and we're using our third eye. We are cluing into our intuition. We are understanding that there is more than what is just in front of us. And the high priestess is usually seated in front of a curtain that represents like the veil between the two worlds. There's usually moons and some other kind of like lunar, more watery energy that surrounds her. Now from there, we get the marriage of the high priestess and the magician and end up with the empress, which is the third card, number 3. It's the fourth card, but it's card number 3. And she is all things creation and creativity. So it's like very much an abundance card, very much a fertility card, this is how we take the intuition, marry it to what we have around us, and birth into the world the desires of our minds and our hearts. Now that's all well and good, but if you're just using those two things and you're just creating, there's no organization. So that's where the emperor comes in. He's card number 5. And he sits there and he's like, I'm the one who manages things. I measure. I make sure everything is fitting the way that it's supposed to go. So there's that opposition between the very fluid, very natural, very like air. I don't want to call it airy fairy woo woo because it's not, but it's just that feminine grace, the receiving, the basking in the blessings. Whereas the emperor is very much, I am king and I rule, and there is no flexibility there. Okay. So when he shows up in your readings, it's probably because you haven't been paying attention to the little details that need to be organized. And then from the emperor, we go to the Hierophant. The Hierophant, I will admit, is one of my least favorite cards. It's all about tradition. It's all about generally like legal rules, regulations, and how you can see yourself within those, right? And what you're being asked to do when the Hierophant shows up is figure out for yourself, are you ready to be your own authority? Mm. So are you willing to be that guru for yourself? Or are you still seeking outside of yourself for all of that guru energy? And for most people, the answer is yes, I am still seeking outside of myself because it's a whole lot easier to do that than it is to trust yourself. And then we move on to, from once we were like, okay, I'm ready to do my inner authority. Now it's time to, see, this is the thing. Don't pay me any attention. Actually, pay me all the attention. I just want to make sure, because I always get these two mixed up. Whether or not Strength is next, or whether or not the Chariot. It's the Chariot. The Chariot is next. So the Chariot is all about moving you to your desired goal. Like it's that energy that takes you to that next level, that energy that says, I am self-possessed, self-directed, and I am moving in the direction that I would like to be going. Okay. And then once we move there from that Chariot, we're going directly into the Strength card. So we know where we're going, and we know that we have the fortitude. The Strength card is all about our inner spiritual fortitude, our emotional fortitude to manage the energy that you're moving as you're going on this journey. Like, do I have what it takes within me to not react overly emotionally, overly angrily? Like, can I keep myself focused? Can I keep myself directed so that I'm going in the direction that I need to be going in? And then from there, like we start moving into more of basically the way that you interact with the world is where that energy starts to go to. So we get into cards like the Justice card. Don't mind me. I'm going through my cards and pulling out my major arcana cards to make sure I'm not missing any, because sometimes I do.
Well, and it's hard to keep them all straight, which one's what sometimes.
Yeah, that is exactly right. So we get to, because I know Justice, what did I just say? I said Strength? Yeah, the Hermit comes after that. The Hermit comes after Strength. Okay, and the Hermit is all about doing stuff by yourself. Like getting you to the point where you are willing to say, this is a path I need to go on my own. And it is not the easiest, but it's always an opportunity for you to learn to trust yourself. And that really is the ultimate goal of all of this is learning to trust that the ideas and the thoughts that you have for yourself are not making you crazy.
And I like the Hermit too, because it's kind of like going.
Skipped one. I knew I skipped one.
It's going into that little cave, which is needed
Yes.
to find out more about yourself.
Yes. Yes. And a lot of people, like when the Hermit comes up, that's why I don't like doing relationship spreads. This is totally an aside, but because so much of the information that you're going to get in a relationship spread is actually going to be about you. And people don't like to hear that when they're like, is this man my true love? And it's like, no, you are your true love, your first true love. Focus on yourself. Okay. So I know I missed one, and I missed the Lovers card. The Lovers card is card number 6. So the Lovers comes after the Hierophant. And it is like, okay, so you're relating to yourself, and then, or you're relating to other people and you start relating to yourself. So that's when you start to like differentiate into myself versus the rest of the world. And as you're exploring through that, the Lovers, generally speaking, represents idealized partnership, but your first idealized partnership needs to be with yourself. That's the first relationship, the highest relationship, the most important relationship to any person is the one that they have with themselves, because that is how you end up reflecting with all of these other people, right? Okay, so you've got all of those. And then as we're moving into the higher stuff, let me just make sure I did not miss anybody else. The Lovers, the Chariot, the Hierophant. Okay, the Hierophant's 8. And then I got the Hermit.
Hermit, the Wheel of Fortune.
Thank you. The Wheel of Fortune. It's one of those cards that people don't like either. The Wheel of Fortune is all about your luck, but not luck insofar as I'm lucky and I'm not lucky. It is the realization that we have no control, that sometimes things are going to suck. Sometimes things are going to be really, really awesome, but neither one of them is going to last. So you have to make the most of whichever situation, whichever side of the wheel you find yourself on. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. It's always going to change. So it is that constant changing cycle of accepting your place in the world and knowing that at any moment you could be on a completely different side of it. So nothing lasts forever is like the main message of the Wheel of Fortune. And then as you move on from there, we get to Justice. Justice is literally justice. It's you facing what's fair in the world, your idea of fairness, your idea of right versus wrong, really an opportunity to define your values and your goals and your boundaries when it comes to what is good, right, and just in the world and how you express those, okay? That card often comes up when people feel like they've been slighted. It comes up when we've got things where it's like, well, this happened to me and it's just not fair. When in reality, fairness is like something that you can't really define from inside the situation. You have to figure out, well, even if it isn't fair, can I move through this and can I let it go? Or am I going to hold on to that sense of being wronged, if that makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And
then from there, we move to the Hanged one. Okay. So once we get through with usually it's like a self-flagellation type situation when we're dealing with justice. It's just not fair. I'm having my pity party. We're ready to move into that weight, move into that space where we are basically suspended. It's the big pause, the deep breath, what the heck's going to happen now? And you don't know. So that Hangman is that, okay, well, I just have to sit here because energies are either building or receding. They're doing what they're doing and I can't move. And what happens when we try to move when we're in the Hanged Man? It's not good things. It's not comfortable. It feels pretty terrible. It's very, very frustrating because there's nothing to do there but wait. And the thing that you're waiting for is a moment where you can release, and that's when the Death card comes in. And that is that full just That's card number 13. That's why people hate it, because it's supposed to be a bad luck number. 13 is my favorite number. You just release it, you let it go. And once you have let it go, that's when space opens up. Space happens and you can breathe. And then temperance shows up for card number 14. And it's a respite. It is a beautiful respite that allows you to say, okay, I'm healing. I'm going to take this opportunity to heal. But the healing is there to remind you once again that even though the past has been shed, even though the past has been let go, you still have so much available to you to create more than you even ever imagined. And then once you've gotten that healing, it's time again to do the mirror thing like we did with the Lovers, but with the Devil card. So then we're sitting here with this struggle of, okay, so we waited, we released, we healed, we didn't really heal or release yet. So let's face this stuff like really deep. Like the Devil is one of my favorite shadow work cards, because it's like all the stuff that I thought I got rid of, all the stuff I thought I was over. Am I really? Can we dig deeper? Can we go into this a little bit more and see if the root is still there, and get out that root and work to change that pattern? Like to literally be like, okay, this is not me anymore. I don't do this anymore. Okay. And then from there, once you've worked through that, that's when the Tower comes. And the Tower is like, okay, so you're done with that, right? All right, I got it. I'm taking it. It's done. Like you can't have it anymore. I'm destroying it. And that Tower energy is so powerful for new beginnings. It is so powerful. It's necessary. Now, one thing that I have discovered in working with people is that that particular group of cards, I call that the inward journey, the Hanged Man through the Tower, because it's where people get stuck. They get stuck and think that they're broken. They get stuck and think that there's something wrong with them, because they keep going through these moments where things are changing. And if you stay holding on too tight, you will get stuck in that cycle. Or you'll just go screaming in the other direction, head right back to the Fool, end up right back up at the Tower, and then just start over again. But in order to really go all the way through the creation process, all the way through this development process, you have to allow the Tower to happen, sift through the ashes. Don't pick up the stuff you lost again and don't do that, because people do that. Don't do that. Leave that stuff down there. It fell for a reason. And then see what is actually salvageable for where you really want to get to, which is that World card. And then you get to that beautiful space with the star when the hope is there again, when you can see the light, you can see the possibilities. And the star will start to lead you into that Moon energy, which is where all of the illusions start to fall away, where you can see the things that you didn't see before because you were so focused on the heaviness of that inward journey. And then once you've freed yourself from the illusions and allowed yourself to have that hope, you can dance in the sunlight, and that's the Sun card. You can start to feel that new birth, feel that new energy, feel young and vibrant and vital again. And then once you're done with all of that Sun energy, we get to, what that comes after the Sun? Is the World after the Sun? No, there's one more, the Chariot and Judgment. No, Judgment. It's Judgment. Yeah, Judgment. Judgment is, sometimes people are like, well, judgment means I'm being judged. Yes, but it's when you finally release your judgment of yourself so that you can let be what is, and then step from there into the completion of your cycle. When you're like really, it's all a giant cycle of releasing. It's a cycle of looking at yourself and being like, is this who I really want to be? Is this what I really want to do? Some of these energies are very quick to move through. Like in the beginning, it's really easy to figure out, identify what it is that you want, identify what's available to you, use it to move yourself through. But people tend to get stuck at the Justice section, like Justice, the Hanged Man, and then all the way through all of what people call the bad cards, because it hurts. Facing yourself like that hurts. It's not a pleasant experience, but it is what growth is made of.
Yeah, I love all of that so much. It's like the spiral of life, you know? it's like, once you complete this, it doesn't mean that you're like good forever. It's just another
Right.
spiral. And it, just like me, I pulled the Fool card because I have went through this huge, like, moment. Well, it's been a few months, but, and then I got to like the moon, and then I got to the sun, where I literally was like, I could feel it. I was working with the unicorn energy. I was working more with like Yeshua and like the Christed consciousness, even stronger. It was like, you are safe. You are okay. Dance in the light. You are the light. And so finally it's like, I can trust myself again to do what I need to do. And then,
Yeah.
now I'm at the Fool again, where I'm starting back over, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm already moving into the Magician just having this conversation with you. So I'm like, I got the Fools, and now, it's a beautiful becoming, really. And I just love how you explained all of that. And if
Yes.
you
Yes.
that are watching that, maybe if you have more questions, I'm sure that Jasmine, you're available for, working with people. So let's talk about, what are you working on and how can people connect with you?
Awesome. So I have a lot of stuff going on right now. I am in a building phase right now. But the easiest way for people to work with me one-on-one at this very moment in time, as you're watching this, is to book a tarot temperance healing with me. We work with the energies of the temperance card to bring deep healing to wherever it is that you are feeling stuck. We work to alchemize and transmute the energies that are swirling around you that you can't seem to coalesce into something else. And I use both reading and distance Reiki to do that for you. And it also, you get a recording of the session, you get some integration work with me as we're working through that stuff. And it's really a very powerful healing. I highly recommend it. I do it for myself on a very regular basis, and my clients have gotten really good results. I'm also hoping for a June 13th launch. June 13th is my birthday this year. I will be 41. I'm super excited. And I'm launching my membership program. It is the Tarot Alchemy Academy, and it's going to be available for anybody who is looking to really utilize and learn more about tarot, magic, energy, how it can really, revolutionize the way that you live your life. Like, I really believe that being tuned in to all of this information and utilizing it on a regular basis it's made a huge difference in my life. It's made a difference in the lives of the people that I work with. I've got my kids learning how to read energy and how to work with crystals and things, because it helps them feel more confident, helps them feel safer. It helps them self-regulate their emotions and their energies. And it's just a beautiful thing. And I feel like when we have people who are empowered and understand themselves and are able to understand other people on such a deep level, it will help to change the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that so much. Oh, again, goosebumps third time. Well, I'm so happy. So I always like to kind of end the call with some bonus questions. Okay. So you don't know what these are.
All right.
Okay. So I always like to ask, what does divinity mean to you?
That's a good question. To me, divinity is the energy that is the universe. It is that thing that holds everything together and that thing that tears everything apart. It is that deep core that asks us, what if? It is that light that happens when we connect deeply with one another. It is everything and nothing, and it's just amazing.
I love it. I love that. Thank you. So the next question is, what foods, because we work with the goddesses, we work with several different goddesses. Every month we work with a different mentor. And so what foods make you feel like a goddess? This could be anything, like no judgment, like whatever it is.
Fruit and champagne.
Is there a specific kind of fruit or just any fruit?
Melon.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm a,
Cantaloupe in particular.
oh, I love that. I am a grape and a glass of wine. And I'm like, ooh, I feel so special. Okay, so is there any specific goddess energy that you like to work with? Or do you just,
Yes.
oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. My I guess I will call them my patroness goddesses, are Freya and Inanna. And I have altars set up to them, on my working altar, and they are incredibly powerful energies that I spent the majority of my life ignoring. I apologize to them for on a regular basis for that. But Inanna has been a constant with me, uh, probably since I was 16, 17 years old. Her steadfast inner fire is something that I relate very deeply to. She's just so primal and ancient and powerful. And she does not allow me to give up on myself. And she encourages me to really just like glow, which is one of those things that I have a tendency to not want to do. Like I have a tendency to want to shy back and hide in the corner, but she doesn't let me do that. And Freya encourages me to be fierce. I discovered my affinity for her after the birth of my fifth and sixth cats. And I was like, why do cats like me so much? And basically she just started talking to me and I was like, oh, okay. I guess I have to like these cats because, and I mean, I love cats. I always have. They've always been around me. And I was like, well, maybe it's like an Egypt thing. And I like kind of talked to Isis, and Isis was like, yeah, like I'm here, but like, I'm not yours. And it's like, okay, fine. Then I'll go see who else it is. And it turned out it was Freya. And I was like, okay, a Norse goddess. That's interesting. But her warmth and yet her fierceness, her deep abiding love and ability to go to bat for like anything that she deems important is just like, they are like my support. And it's been insane working with them because they like, I do a lot of my work for them, like because they feel that it is necessary for women to step up and be powerful, and that our light has been dimmed for far too long, and they're sick of it. So they're like, no, we're picking you and you have to go out there and do this work and empower women so that women can start to see their more than just their value and their worth, but that they're here to rule stuff. Like that's what we're here for.
And as you're talking, you know how it works sometimes. So, and they both work with the underworld. So Inanna, had to, with her, she had to kind of make her way through the underworld in her own way. And Freya brings the dead to the underworld. So, and you are working with, the tarot and bringing people to face and, face their mirrors, face their shadows. And so I think that's perfect that they're also guiding you in that way. I kind of saw that as you were speaking it. So I think that's beautiful. And Inanna is so primal, so powerful. And I believe, if I can remember, the ancient, like not hieroglyphics, but they're not even paintings, but sculptures that they have of her. I believe she has tigers that are on chains.
Yes.
She's like, I rule this roost. And she was one of the very first, goddesses of antiquity.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like one of the originals. So she was a Sumerian goddess, and she has so much wisdom. And I just, I don't hear of many people who really work that closely with her. So you just like, girl crush.
Yeah. I was surprised when she made herself known, because I was like, but I was young and I was like a newbie witch, and I was like, why can't I have like Aphrodite or Athena?
Athena.
I was like, can I have like a pretty and nice? And she's like, no, we're gonna go deep with stuff. And it's like, okay, but people are already scared of enough of me as it is, I guess, But it is the whole underworld walking thing. And I can't do small talk for the life of me. I just can't. Like, I need to understand you on like a super deep level. So I often tell people, like, if you're not ready to face stuff, you might not want to hang out with me, because I'm going to bring it up.
You have Scorpio in your top three. You have Scorpio in your top three.
I do. I'm a Scorpio moon. Yep.
Yeah, I'm a Scorpio sun. So it's just part of who we are.
Yeah.
Let's go to the underworld. So deep.
Yeah. I made my boyfriend cry yesterday. Not on purpose. I did a Reiki session and I was like, this is because this, and this. And he's like, oh, I'm like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. It's just, I knew, and you needed to release it. So there you go.
Oh, yeah. I love that. Okay. So this is one final question.
Okay.
It's a big one, but I just want you to feel into your heart, and just whatever the first thing that comes up is, what is one piece of advice that you can give to the men and women of the world today?
Be open, and not like fake open, like actually soft-hearted, vulnerable. Let yourself be seen and be open, because we can't heal unless we're willing to crack that shell.
Yes. I feel so good. Let that soak in, everybody. Just let that soak in. And I think too, you know, part of our culture is we've been so conditioned to be the hard shell, like tough, go through it, And now we're definitely in that phase where I think the last 3 years for all of us, when we've been kind of isolated, we're starting to soften, and we're realizing that that is another way as well. You know, it's being able to open up to all of ourselves. So I just love that beautiful advice. All right. So do you have a website or anything that you want to share on here? I know I will post it on like the little graphic and things that I do for YouTube and Facebook, but do you want to share it on here live?
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys want to find me, you can find me at thattarotgoddess.com. ThatTarotgoddess.com. Or JasmineCianflone.com, but I have the That Tarot Goddess because my last name is hard to spell, and I understand that. So I totally make it easy for people. And I'm also on basically every social media. If you want to find me, I'm XOJazCianflone on TikTok, on Instagram, kind of on Twitter, but not so much anymore. And I'm around. And if you guys have questions about tarot, how to use it, doing different rituals and spell work and all that wonderful fun stuff with the cards, I am here to assist you in any way possible.
And your membership sounds amazing. I saw the little sneak peek that you did, and I was like, oh, like even the like graphics that you chose and the colors, like everything, just it kind of drew me in. So
yay! I'm so glad to hear that.
For that release. And thank you so much for sharing your heart and your love for this tool and the way you've embodied it over your lifetime. I just really honor that.
Thank you. It has been my pleasure. It was so nice to be able to be here and to share this. I really do love what I do, and I'm looking forward to helping so many more people with it.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a beautiful day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.